Good morning. Well, I've did my first pull out there at the apiary. Have a little coffee and Bailey's here this morning. And I started extracting yesterday. I didn't film it all, partly because, well, just trying to understand it all, figure it all out. But anyways, I bought a new Lyson 12 frame classic extractor. And I bought the 750 millimeter decapping tank. For the size of operation I have, it works this year. It probably isn't going to work next year when I get to 100 hives. So I have worked out a little bit of a deal. The trucking company ended up buggering up my extractor, and working with the company I bought it from, that was Worker and Hive down in Calgary. He ended up sending up some new parts and pieces. I ended up going through, being a sheet metal mechanic, I ended up going through and fixing it all up, silver soldering the bottom back up so it doesn't leak. So it'll work for this year. And he was nice enough, he's going to credit me the full amount of this on an extraction line, which will probably be in my near future, in the next year or so. But anyways, what did I end up with? I think I pulled, my calculations are right, I should have about 650 to 750 pounds of honey on my first pull. There's probably that much more out there, it just wasn't capped or anything yet. So that'll probably be pulled or harvested here within the next, I'm going to say, probably 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm going to get into this, I'll show you what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. So a few things you should know first about before you get in and extracting. So if you've done this lots and you're a big beekeeper, I can use any tips that you've got. If you haven't, I'll pass along some of the tips that I learned yesterday. So one of the first ones I learned yesterday is take some time and figure out how you're going to set your equipment up. The extractor has a honey gate down on the bottom, as well as the uncapping tank has a honey gate down at the bottom. They're both set up, and I'm not sure why, but a 5-gallon pail doesn't quite fit underneath them, or if it does, it just fits. So I built a little bit of a base underneath my extractor out of 2x6. I brought it up about 3.5 inches off the floor. And the uncapping tank, luckily enough, it has feet or legs that will extend out. So I've extended it all out. And I put a common bucket in between with, let me show you what I've got done here. So I purchased a couple of these strainers. You're going to want a couple of them, and the reason being is they get plugged up pretty quickly. So the first one has a relatively thick or large screen, and then it's followed by a small screen. Now, what I found is even though these work extremely well, I still went ahead and purchased some, these are 400 micron filter screens. So you can get these at the paint store. I ordered these off of Amazon. But you can get them at the paint store, and these work really well. So what I do is I put this in my 5-gallon pail, I put my screen on top of the 5-gallon pail, and then I run it all through. These seem to run a whole lot better if you can take a lot of the larger parts. So I do have a couple of these, so I swap them out as I fill the pails up. As well, I've got 4 of this, 400 mesh screens too. So you're going to plug them up. So rather than taking a whole bunch of time, these are relatively cheap, just buy lots. I'll show you how I set it all up there afterwards. And then of course, lots and lots of containers. So I'm going to do the same thing, what I've seen some other places do, and I'm going to put it into 5-gallon pails. And I'll store it in 5-gallon pails until I'm ready to put it into the jars and stuff like that to sell. Now, keep in mind, so I think they said honey's about 12 pounds per gallon. So a 5-gallon pail of honey is going to weigh about 60 pounds. So be ready for that. And we'll kind of go from there. So some of the other tools, I'll be using a hot knife. Buy yourself a good one. I didn't, and I cursed it all day yesterday. Research it, buy yourself a really good hot knife. I will be purchasing another one. I got a honeycomb or a honey pick, so for what it doesn't get. And let me go get it, a refractometer, and I'll show you why. There, I shut some of the noise off. So the noise you heard in the background is, I have some frames that aren't capped. So what I've been doing is I have a dehydrator, dehumidifier, pardon me. So the dehumidifier has been running great guns in here. And I've got a fan blowing it all the way down through my, my honey supers with a pallet at the bottom so the air can flow out the bottom. The other thing I did is I've got a couple of these little temperature and relative humidity gauges. So right now I've got it in here. It's sitting at about 25.9. That's a little on the cool side. I will turn it up a little bit. And then keep in mind, this was sitting right on the floor. You know, so it's as cool as it's gonna get. It's already climbing to 28 degrees. And I'm showing about 32% relative humidity. So what that's doing is that's drying out my uncapped frames. So most of them are capped. Let me see if I can find one here. So this is how most of my frames look. Absolutely awesome. But there's a little bit of uncapped honey around the outside edges. And some of them are a little bit more. Let me see if I can find one here that's just a little bit more than that. Most of them are capped. What I did is I left anything that was not quite ready in the hive, and that I'll take on my second pull. Here's one. So here's a deep frame. So this side's fully capped, but this side, you see on the bottom, it's not quite capped. So that's where your refractometer comes in. Once again, I just bought it off of Amazon. I like this one because this one came with the calibrating fluid. You can use extra virgin olive oil as well, but I calibrated this one yesterday for in here, and I'm just going to make sure we're 100% clean. And dry. You're going to want plenty of clean towels, rags. Believe it or not, this is a messy job, and you're going to get honey everywhere. I mean, everywhere. You get honey where places honey shouldn't be. All right, so what we're going to do is we can literally just take some of this honey. Now this was, it was the second box down and about the third frame in. So you literally just take some of the honey. There's lots of videos, YouTube videos online how to do this. Make sure the air bubbles are out of it and take a look. So this is sitting at 15%. It was 17.5 yesterday. I'm gonna wash up, see if I can't get this on the camera. Give me 1 second. There's lots of videos, but I don't think I haven't seen anybody try to get it through the camera yet. So I'm gonna walk around back. Let's see how this works. All right, so if you can see in there, it's showing where that blue line is. So about 15%, and the temperature all the way up there, you know, sitting at about 20 degrees. So hopefully that worked out. Hopefully you guys can see that. So that tells me this honey is ready to harvest. Now, I don't know exactly, just gonna wash this up again. So my understanding is it has a lot to do with the yeast particles in your honey. So if you've got 18% relative humidity, or 18% water content, you don't want to harvest that. What'll end up happening is your honey will ferment, and unless you're making mead, I don't even think it'll make a good mead, to be honest with you. You don't want to harvest that, and you definitely do not want to sell it. I am looking for a premium quality product on everything, so I've been shooting for between 15 and 16%. I have zero to worry about then. So we know this is ready to harvest, so we're going to get into here and we're going to I'll show you how I decap it. We'll show you how we spin it, and I'll show you how everything works. We'll just start with this frame. So I've had my hot knife plugged in here for a little bit, so it's heated right up. Just try to get this here moved around. I'll readjust the camera, I think. All right, so we start with our capped honey, and hopefully I got the camera where you can see this. So the first thing you're going to do is make sure your knife is heated up. You're going to want to start at the top, and you're just going to want to take the top off, and you see how nice of a job that does now. And then what you want to do is you want to take just the caps off if you can. And don't go too fast. Your knife will tell you how fast is fast enough, because if you go too fast, you end up destroying the comb. And of course, this whole exercise is to save the comb, so that's much less the bees have to do next time. See how that turned out? Isn't that gorgeous? And turn it over. You do the same thing on the other side. And I'll try to save this. Let me show you. To give you an idea how little I'm trying to cut off. Oh, I might not be able to pick this up. Like, it is just paper thin. And I'm trying to just take off the tops. Now I've got my hands all mucky. So the other thing too, as I'm going through here, I've taken a lot of time and I've sterilized everything. This is a food product, so try to make sure that you're treating it as such. I mean, people are going to eat this. So make sure your equipment is clean. Make sure you clean your equipment regularly. And this one is ready for the extractor. Now I got my coffee in the way. We'll just set the coffee at the back. And we just repeat. Now the comb comes in. You see how I have some there that was just below? So you can use the comb a couple different ways. A lot of people will actually pick the wax right off, like so, which works just fine. Or you can just scrape it. Either way, works just as good. And because I didn't buy a good knife, if your knife gets cold, just stop. Otherwise, what ends up happening is you end up ripping the comb off. It only takes a little bit for these ones here to heat back up. I don't know where this one's at, but or what make it was, but take the time, research them, buy a good hot knife. I can tell you though, it is a real pain in the ass that it doesn't stay hot enough. And once again, everyone out there, this is what I do. know a better way, I'm all open for it. But do what works for you. This is where the coffee comes in. Waiting for your hot knife because you cheaped out and bought a cheap one. I don't know why they don't make them a little bit longer either. They're, let me show you while we're waiting for it to heat up. It's just as long as the frame, just. So as soon as you do this, you may pop back and forth. Like here, I can put it on the tip on the bottom of the board, or the top frame, the back on the bottom frame, and I can run right along, and the bees will draw it out just about perfect. But if you move it all, you fall in. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if the guys building some of this stuff are beekeepers. They should be. Now I've kept the honey gate closed, so you'll be able to see how much wax I get out of here when I go to open this honey gate up and actually show you what came off. So here I have a couple of frames. This side really isn't drawn at all. This side's sealed right up. So if you've been following my channel, I've been struggling with comb this year. So this is one that they managed to get started to drop. This is one that I did wax. But don't panic if you have something like this. I have two of these, and I'm just going to put them across from each other inside the extractor, and we'll be just fine. Let the knife do the work. If you try to push it, or you try to go too fast, you just wreck the comb. I'm cutting a little bit deep on this one. I'll try to bring it back up. Nothing's on this side. So, like I said, we put one in here. We make note of where it is, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it right around here right now. Oh, I can get that framed in right. There we go. Now I've set it all up because when I put my frames in here, I knew I had two like that, and the other one's right here. Good thing it's not beer. I'd be drunk by the time I get this done. Mead. Maybe I need mead while I do this. I went visiting this this spring and had a really good glass of mead with one of my new friends I met out by Winnipeg. This is why I was saying I can see an extraction line in my future. This is all right for, 50 hives, 100 hives. Take me all day. Actually, take me all month. I got honey running down my arm somehow. Actually, here's a question for the viewers out there, for all of those that have watched along to this point. Maybe put a comment down below as to what you're selling your honey for this year. It seems to be all over the place. I haven't quite decided where I'm going to place mine yet this year. I've walked through some of the retail stores. Now I know can't really use that to judge, but it is a good, I guess it's a good starting point. So maybe let me know in the comments down below as to what your honey price is and how your sales are this year. I wasn't expecting much for honey. For me, this year is all about trying to make my bee numbers. So, and yes, I have seen some of the comments from some of the guys like the bug farmer out there with the sugar shortage and everything like this down in the States now. I've secured my sugar already for this year, so I am going to be taking or pulling most of the honey from my bees. And I will be supplementing them with the sugar syrup here in the fall. Now, I've split my bees hard, and when I say hard, I'm on some of them. I'm probably got 4, maybe 5 splits out of some of them. But for me this year, it's all about the hive numbers, and now a comment on that, strong hive numbers. So my girls have really done very well this year, and I wouldn't split them unless they were strong enough. But I do understand, as I did that, especially during the honey flow season, I sacrificed the honey for the bee numbers. So I fully knowing doing what I did would mean I would have a much smaller honey crop, and I'm okay with that, as long as my hives are healthy and strong. See here how I went too fast and I started pulling the comb off the foundation. Just got to slow down. This is a case where slow and steady will always win the race. It takes less time to go slow here than what it would take the girls to build all new comb out in the apiary next year. Actually, a lot of this is going to go back on. See here where I missed? And I just scrape this out. It doesn't destroy much of the comb. And we'll do the other side as well. So the noise you hear in the background, I did turn the dehumidifier back on. It's been raining up here for the last few days. Actually, rain, tornadoes. Oh, Mother Nature. This spring she hit us with floods. This late summer, now she's hitting us with tornadoes. I'm almost afraid to see what she's going to send our way for winter. This really is a pain in the ass, the knife not keeping up. When it's hot, it works really good. Problem is when the honey and stuff gets on there, it doesn't maintain the temperature. So, once again, pain in the ass. Anybody knows of a good manufacturer, a good knife out there? Actually, I should take a look. I think Cayman had one on his site. Take a look to see what he recommended. He hasn't led me astray too far yet. Boy, these are heavy. I did say, actually, Duck River Honey's got a decapper where you push it down and pull it back up. I'm interested in that. It'll probably fit right here in my tray. The downside to that is your wax is a whole lot less, I'm thinking. And of course this year, I just finished buying an additional 200 boxes, 2,000 frames. I got 2,000 frames to wax. I'm gonna need the wax. Maybe that's something to look into for next year though. Anybody from Lyson's watching this, or actually I guess any other manufacturer, these decapping tables, great idea, but you really need somewhere to put your tools. You know, somewhere to put your hot knife, so you're not trying to hang it on there, somewhere to put your scraper, just a couple tools in the pockets on the side. I think that'd be a great addition. I doubt any of them are watching. Be cool if they were. We're all loaded up. I'm gonna wash up. I'll bring the camera on. We'll open up the honey gates just see how much honey we got out here. All right. So you can kind of see the cappings and stuff down here. It's all nice, virgin, fresh, one-time cappings. So here's the setup that I've got. Let's open the honey gate up here and see what comes out. So this is just from this morning. And we'll get the extractor going. So they're all in there. You can see I got a couple mediums, so I put the other two mediums right back there. They're opposite each other. So we can close this up and we'll turn it on. I like to start fairly slow Make sure everything's balanced. And once it is, turn it up. I'll open the honey gate down here so you can see what's coming out of there too. Nothing yet, obviously. See it starting to throw it on the sides. All right, so now the cycle's complete. Frames are much lighter, and you can see they're fully extracted. I've enlisted some help to do this. You're going to want as much help as you can get, but don't tell them you're extracting honey. Anybody who's done it before, I'll hang up the phone on you. It's a lot of hard work. So as we've got the last frames in the extractor, we have to deal with all of the wax that was left in the bottom. So I didn't film it, I forgot. But what do I do with that? Well, I'll show you. This was all empty. But what I did is I bought this. This is a fruit press. So what we did is we've taken all of the wax cappings. We've put them in there now. We're going to close this all up over top. See if I can do this one-handed. Maybe I'll get Alan to give me a hand here. There we go. We close the press up. And we just run the press down. Once again, I bought this off of Amazon. You can, it's just a fruit press. But watch the honey that comes out here. That would have been all honey that would have been lost. So, you might have to just give it a second there for it all to catch up, Alan. So, as you turn this down, it starts to get a little bit of pressure as the honey squeezes out. You can turn it down some more, and so on and so forth. But once again, this is only a couple $100 for this press. Call it the poor man's honey or wax squeeze, but you can see it works incredibly well. So, and we run all this through the filters again. You can just see it, the honey's just pouring out of there. And it comes down, we run it through all of the filters, the same thing. And yesterday, this was what was left out of, what did we do yesterday? Almost, I guess, 400 pounds. So, it saves you a lot of honey. And it's just a T-handle. You just give it a turn and the wax is coming out. And then when you're done, we're going to start this right after we get this done. So then what you're left with a solid block of wax, of which, well, there's lots of YouTube videos out there, but I'll show you how I do it because I've got this whole container of dry wax down here. And as you all know, I'm going to be using that to wax the new foundations to go out in the apiary. So once we've got it all pressed down, you take it out, and you got a dry wax puck ready to go into the melt down. So we'll take it out there, we'll throw it all in there, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that next. All right, so we're going to take our wax pucks and we're going to put them into our pot here. This is just a big one that I borrowed to melt down and welt out some queen excluders. So you can see it's pressed it out fairly dry. We'll put it all in there. down so I'm not keeping my back to you. There we go. A little hot water does wonders. We're just going to fill this up, and then we're going to boil it down until all the wax melts. And then as soon as all the wax is melted, we'll shut it off, we'll let it harden, and this will be the first rendering of all the wax. We're going to end up with quite a few pounds, so that's good.